Hey, so I've been thinking about doing some sort of videos for some time now, and usually what happens is that I'll read something and I'll have a response to it, and sometimes I tweet about it, sometimes I think I should blog about it, and usually I end up doing neither because just putting out a tweet feels like you've not given enough thought to it, or it's just a knee-jerk reaction. And blogging, I usually like doing with pictures. So that's usually hard when you're writing an opinion piece and to get a photo immediately. So anyway, what triggered it today was someone I follow on Twitter who's a senior respected photographer basically wrote that when they die, they'd like to be known for their body of work and not their social media influence. Obviously that touched a nerve because I'm both. I don't really have a lot of social media influence, and I don't even think of myself as an exceptional photographer. I know my work is good, but I don't think that's the point. I mean, when I die, which we all will die at some point, I don't want to be remembered as a photographer or as someone who had influence on social media. I don't want to be remembered as me. I mean, a photographer and a social media influencer is part of who I am. It's not this separate, for the Nana photographer. I'm Nana. I would like to be known as a nice person, maybe a close friend to some people. Maybe my family remembers me that I was a nice kid, or I was creative, or I talked a lot, or I took a lot of pictures. But I don't know. I mean, it's like that photographer Vivian Mayer, whose work was discovered after so long, and I think when she was alive, nobody really even knew about her, and she is. Now everyone just looks at her work and is like, oh wow, and she was such a great photographer, but I mean, it doesn't benefit her. I mean, she's dead. So I just look at it like, I'm going to be dead. I mean, it doesn't technically matter how I'm remembered. I mean, once I'm dead, I don't care if you think my work is shit or if it was awesome. I mean, if it inspires you, fantastic. I'd rather inspire you now when I'm alive. I mean, there are lots of people who are alive who inspire me now. I mean, I look at their work, I look at what they do on a daily basis, and I'm like, wow, I can do that. It's a possibility. So if there's someone who's looking at me, looking at my work, looking at what I do, sure, and they're being inspired, fuck, that's fantastic. And I think social media helps with that. How else do people know about my photography? I mean, come on. It's not that these are not two different things anymore. I think culturally it has changed. Even in India, I mean, it's not just how do clients reach out to me. They reach out to me because they can see my work online on my blog, and I tweet about it and people reshare it. How do you think a client like, for example, St. Regis that I photographed for found out about me? I mean, someone from the brand had obviously heard about something that I'd done, and then they went to my website and my blog, and then they checked out my work, and then they wrote to me asking for references for similar photography I'd done earlier. So it's all connected. You can't just say that, hey, I want to be known as a good photographer, but I don't want to be known as a nice human being. I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same person doing the photography and the social media. This photographer also said that they're seeing a trend where photographers are being hired for their social media following instead of their work. And that is true. They are not just being hired because of their work. But if you're a photographer who's doing great work and no one knows about you, no one's going to hire you except your, people from your local community or brands that are locally present where you are, and maybe you print your books and send them to brands and then they get in touch with you. But if you're online, anyone can hire you internationally if they like your work. So again, I mean, if a brand finds value in a photographer who has a social media presence. I mean, brands spend so much money on marketing and PR, and they have digital agencies, they have advertising agencies, they have PR agencies. And here you have a photographer who also has a social media following. So the photographer is producing imagery that is, relevant to the brand. It follows the brand guidelines. It supports the brand's image or reputation in the market. You're creating those kind of photographs, and then the photographer also puts that stuff on their own blog and shares what the assignment was, what the images produced were, and they share it on social media. They're like a brand advocate. Even if the brand hasn't hired them as a brand advocate, whether they like it or not, the photographer hence is a brand advocate. Whereas if it's just a photographer who just produces images and is not on social media, they're just producing images. I mean, you could buy those images off a stock photography website. What's the difference then? But the difference is obviously where you are hiring a photographer who has a social media presence. And yeah, sure, the photographer's work might not be excellent. I mean, isn't that subjective? A brand might find one particular photographer's work to be wow, fabulous and fantastic, and let's get them on board. And another brand might think, oh my god, that's bullshit. We're never going to work with that photographer, or maybe the photographer is going to take time. I mean, my clients have told me that when they hired me initially, and the work that I deliver to them now, it has evolved so much and it's so much better. And I agree. I mean, I can barely look at my old work and not cringe. I mean, it's like, oh my god, what was I thinking? That's bullshit. So yeah, I don't understand why so many senior photographers diss on social media so much. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's a new thing. Maybe. I mean, it's like me and my relationship with Snapchat. I don't get it. But I don't diss on people who are using it. I mean, are there photographers who use it? I think there are, and they're posting videos, and I don't really do videos. I mean, look at this. I'm sitting in a hotel room in LA. And I just had breakfast and came upstairs, and this thing just hit me, and I thought I'll do a video. So I think technology is social media or new cameras. These are just tools, and I really like the internet and social media. And I think because of it, I'm able to talk about my work, and there are hundreds of people, thousands of people who are able to look at my work internationally, and people I've never met support me. That's incredible. And if you're a photographer and if you know that you do decent work, and it'll get better if you practice. I mean, seriously, the only way to get better at photography is to shoot more. Just shoot more and more and more and more and more. And get on social media, get a blog, do something where you update. It doesn't have to be exceptional work every time you post. It could be mediocre or even shit work. It's a blog. And you could have a separate portfolio section on the blog which says, okay, hey, this is my portfolio. I still haven't done that. I mean, I had it earlier, but now that it's changed I've shifted it to managed WordPress hosting on DreamHost. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, you're on social media, brand values you more people see your work, and your work improves. I think being on social media kind of pushes you to do better work as well, if you're that kind of person who's always looking for constant self-improvement. But if you're the kind of person who's anyways not looking at self-improvement, then you could be on social media or you could not be on it, and your work's just going to stagnate at some point. So yeah, morning rant over. See you guys and girls.